Hi, my name is Michelle Labelle, and this is my very first video ever that I'm doing on this subject that I feel is very personal and important to me, and I think it's important for more people to share their stories and how they feel about this topic as well, for the purposes of normalizing it and creating a greater dialogue about it and decreasing stigma and increasing visibility. So you might have guessed that what I'm going to be talking about is bisexuality. And just let me introduce myself. So my name is Michelle, and I am a bisexual woman, 28 years old. Just a little background on me. I was born in New Jersey. I was raised in Puerto Rico. So multicultural background, and I now live in California, and it's great. And as far as when it comes to my identity as a bisexual woman, I realized sometime when I was like 5 or 6 years old that I knew that I liked boys and girls. I thought that all boys and girls liked all boys and girls. I didn't have anybody to tell me anything contrary to that or to be like, no, that's not the case. So for a really long time, I thought that was what was just normal for everybody because that was how I felt, and I felt like, doesn't everybody feel this way? So it was when I was around 11 years old when I had my first kiss with a girl, and she was talking about this boy that she had a crush on and how she wanted to give him a French kiss. And I was like, what is that? I've never French kissed anyone before. I don't know what you're even talking about. Can you show me? And she kind of reluctantly was like, it's kind of weird, but okay, I guess, all right. So she kissed me, and I was like, okay, cool. I didn't even really think anything of it. And I was like, well, this is kind of how I would do it. So I went to kiss her back and to show her how I would French kiss. I had no idea what I was doing. At least I thought, I don't know. And when I leaned in to kiss her, she went like this. And it was in that moment that I realized, oh wait, maybe not all boys and girls like all boys and girls. Maybe this is a just me thing. And so I realized that I was different, but I didn't know what it was or how to explain it or anything like that. I didn't have any examples to be like, oh, I'm that thing. That makes sense to me. I had nothing to go off of. So for a long time, I just knew that I had these feelings and I kept them to myself. I didn't really talk about it because I didn't even really know how to vocalize what it was that I was feeling. And then one day, I was 15 and I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and she was like, oh yeah, blah, 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 my boyfriend. And then I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then, later on in the conversation, she was like, oh, blah, 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 my girlfriend. And I was like, wait, but didn't you say that you had a boyfriend and then now you have a girlfriend? So, like, what do you mean by that? And she's like, oh, well, I'm bi. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, well, I like guys and girls. And I was like, it was like the clouds opened up and like a ray of light came down upon me and was like, oh, this is what you are. And And I was like, oh my gosh, I like guys and girls too. That's being bisexual. And she was like, yeah, that's being bisexual. You're bisexual too. And I was like, oh my God, I guess I am. And it was like we literally skipped down the street together. Like dorks. It was hysterical. So I after realizing that, I went to high school, went to class and stuff, and I had a friend of mine who was feeling the same way. He was like, I have a crush on this guy in our class, but I have a crush on this girl too. And I was like, I think I know what that means. I think you're bisexual too. And he was like, really? I didn't know that you could be that. And it's really surprising to me how many people don't know that they can be that they can like men and women and everything in between, and that's totally okay. Because if it's something that it's coming from inside of you, it's a natural, inherent instinct kind of thing. It's not something that you even think about it. You just feel these emotions and these attractions and so many complex different things for different people, and you're kind of always told, no, you can only like this or that. There's no in between. And that's what made it really difficult for me. Once I got out of high school and I started trying to date and meet other people that, hopefully would be accepting of me. And I was met with a lot of different, very strange things. For example, one of the things that I was met with was, oh, that's just a phase. You're just still figuring it out. You're too young to even know what you like whatever. Everybody goes through that when they're in college. So basically a lot of negating what I had been feeling my whole life was what I was getting from other people. Was like, no, that's just a phase, you're going to get over it. Was kind of like the majority of the response. And then as I got older and deeper into, the dating pools and scenes and whatever, it was, there was a lot of, like, if I would tell a guy that I was bisexual, they'd be like, oh, cool, that's awesome, high five. And I'm like, no, you don't need to high five me over the fact that I'm bisexual. Like, to this day, I still get guys that react that way, that they're like, that's so cool. And I'm like, no, it's not that it's not cool, because don't get me wrong, I think being a bisexual is pretty freaking awesome. But the reality of that versus what their fantasy of it is two different things. And I experienced a lot of difficulty dating straight men in that, like, my very first boyfriend was like, why can't you just be normal? And, like, why can't you just like one thing? And, and he got really jealous if I would hang out with my female friends more than him. And, he would get jealous if I hung out with my guy friends. Like, I had lots of platonic male relationships. And, like, that was weird. So, it's always, I feel like a lot of people fetishize, especially like men, it's the fantasy of the threesome and all of that. But then when they get actually into a relationship with a bisexual, they realize, oh, wait a second, am I not enough person for this person? And it's like, if I have chosen you, if I have decided that I love you and I want to be with you, then I'm going to be with you and just you, because I've chosen that, and you fulfill me in a way where I don't necessarily need to be with anybody else in that phase of my life. Now, or more recently, my experience when it came to trying to date women was a whole nother ballgame. I almost prefer dealing with guys being like, "That's awesome," and like high-fiving me. I would almost rather deal with like the fetishization, I'm probably saying that wrong, and the sexualization. I would rather deal with that than to deal with the reactions that I got from the lesbians, which was brutal. I have never felt more like crap about myself than when I was trying to date women. And it was mostly because it had to do with their reaction to my bisexuality. And this could also have to do with the fact that I lived in Miami at the time. And it's very, very strange, the scene there. I don't even have words to explain it. But I would be like, I remember the first time I ever went to like a ladies' night at a gay bar. I'd never been before. I was like 24, 25 years old, so not that long ago. And it was just this sea of women, and I was like, whoa, I looked at my friend and I was like, okay, so these are all chicks that like chicks? And she was like, yes. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And so I was like sitting at the bar, and I had 3 different occasions where I had different women walk up to me and be like, hey, how's it going? So where are you from? And I'm like, oh, Puerto Rico, whatever. Oh, cool. So, like, what sign are you? Which I know already I should have known that this was not going to go well. And I was like, I'm a Gemini, whatever. And they're, oh, Gemini, you guys are, like, crazy. So, like, already we're getting into the territory of, like, you might be an ignorant person if you just met me and you're judging me based on my zodiac sign. Whatever. Then the next question, and this is no joke, like 45 seconds of meeting somebody, 3 questions in, and we get to, so are you full out or are you bi? What do you mean full out? What is that? What does it mean? Like, are you like really like a lesbian? Are you like really gay, or are you like bi? I'm bisexual. Oh, gross. You like dick? Oh man, that's so gross. And I was like, well, I don't really think it's gross. I'm sorry that you feel that way. I enjoy it occasionally. And that was generally the majority of the reactions that I got. And it got so bad. Like, and then there was the like, oh, well, you don't look gay, or you don't look like you like women because I'm femme and I carry myself most of the time. I present very feminine, very female. And I have long hair, and, and I was girly, and I wear makeup and nail polish and earrings and stuff. And I also got, you don't look gay. Or, oh, but I saw you hanging out with that dude, so, like, you can't be gay. And it was really, really difficult and really uncomfortable just going out, trying to, like, be a part of this community and be a part of the scene of women that like women, and constantly hitting this wall of, oh, gross, you're bi, like every single time. It was like insane to me. And I started lying, and I started just saying I'm a lesbian, because it just became easier and more comfortable to lie and not deal with, I couldn't get past any further in the conversation with anybody. I couldn't get to know anybody once I hit that bisexual wall, because they just didn't even want to deal with me, like I had the plague or something. And so I chopped all my hair off, and I got a really super butched out, like almost like J-pop haircut. And I started presenting really masculine and like faux hawk in my hair and wearing like beaters and baggy jeans and all that stuff. And I like actively made, and like wearing rainbows everywhere, so actively made an effort to look more gay, or more lesbian, or whatever you want to call it, monosexual, in case you're not sure. And I don't really feel like it worked. And it was a lot of effort, and I didn't feel great about myself, that I was having to lie to people just to sort of, so to speak, get in the front door with them. But I did it, and I had a lot of girls break my heart, and I had a lot of girls that wanted to use me as an experiment. There was like 3 different girls that were bi-curious or hetero-flexible or experimental, whatever you want to call it. And because I guess I'm like less intimidating looking than like a really hardcore lesbian, you know, there was a lot of leading on and a lot of, you know, treating me like a guinea pig, which was very frustrating. And a lot of my experiences with women became about their experience and them having a good time, and me facilitating that for them, and me not really having a good time, which was very, very frustrating and unfulfilling. So, I sort of gave up on that. I gave up on chicks, and I was like, I'm done with women, and I'm gonna go back to trying to date men. And, you know, I wasn't really, I can't say that I was entirely successful at it, because being with straight men as a bisexual woman comes with a lot of things, you know, and you have to deal with their insecurity, and you have to deal with their, many times I feel like because misogyny and homophobia and biphobia is so implicit in our culture that, you know, they would like accidentally, unintentionally just make really terrible remarks sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and they didn't know they were doing it, but it's just an added thing to deal with. And then because you're in love with this person, you forgive them, and you want to try to like educate them, but at some point you get to this place where you're like, this is exhausting. It's really exhausting. It's exhausting to identify as bisexual, because every time you tell somebody that, it's this whole slew of questions that come with it. Oh, do you like men more than you like women? Or like, which one do you prefer? And it's like, no. I'm a middle of the road bisexual, which means that I like men and women equally. And when I say men and women, let me be clear that within that, I'm also including trans individuals. I don't feel that I need to call them trans men or trans women, because I know that they are men and that they are women. And so by me saying men and women, I'm including all of the kinds of men and women that are out there, and everything in between, just to be clear on that. And I have, you know, been interested in specifically trans individuals before. I've been interested in bisexual men before. I've been interested in bisexual women. I've been in love with lesbian women. I've been in love with straight men. I love gay men too. But who doesn't love gay men, right? You know, and the way that I see bisexuality, my personal bisexuality is that I'm a human being with the capacity to love all human beings, regardless of what the external appearance may be. And because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We all bleed. We are all born of a mother. We all live. We all need air. We all need to eat. We all need to sleep. We all want to be happy. We all want to be loved. We all want to give love. We all want to get laid at some point. We all need to eat. We all need to sleep or we'll die. Like, these are just basic. We all have to breathe. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are, where you're from. If you are a human being, you are all of these things. And you want all of these things, generally speaking. And I'm just an individual that looks at another human being and sees their capacity to love and to be loved, and for me to fall in love with them. Does this mean that, like, I love everybody? No. Does this mean I want to have sex with everybody? No, I'm actually extremely, extremely picky. Especially now that I'm a little bit older. Not so much when I should have been when I was younger, but that's neither here nor there. Am I a promiscuous person? Hardly. Have I probably had more sexual partners than, like, your average straight female? Probably. But that doesn't mean that I'm, like, running around just jumping on everybody because I can if I wanted to. And if I wanted to, that would be my choice. And I don't believe that for that choice I should be judged for it. Because, again, we're all human beings and we're all going to do what we do. And I also believe that sexuality in human beings is something that's so complex and it's so diverse, far more diverse than we give it credit for. I believe that there are infinite possibilities of sexuality in human beings, and it is only now, because of the visibility that the LGBT community has created, that we are starting to see all of these other categories popping up of asexuals, and we're starting to hear about people who are intersex and demisexual and pansexual and all of the sexuals. I mean, it's just, you know, it's this, the floodgates have opened for people to live authentically and express themselves and who they believe they truly are through the people that they're capable of loving. And I think that there's other sexualities that we have yet to even find or discover yet. That somebody out there, maybe in the middle of nowhere of, like, you know, Minnesota or something, has something going on that nobody knows about, that, you know, and there's probably more people like them that they haven't found either because it hasn't become a visible thing or a talked about thing yet, the way that bisexuality is something that isn't talked about nearly enough in a positive way. And I think it's important that more bisexual people come out and that more positive role models, and you know what, even the negative ones too, because at the end of the day, again, we're all human beings. Nobody is perfect. There's no right way to be bisexual. There's no wrong way to be bisexual. There's no right or wrong way to any of that. Love is tender and knows no gender, you know. Love is blind. I mean, I can go on and on with all of the things that the community has used to help foster the support for same-sex marriage and all of those things, because it's true. It's really true. And so my purpose for this, again, like I said, for talking about my bisexuality, what it means to me, is simply for the purpose of humanizing those people of my community that don't fit into the heteronormative monosexual lifestyle, and to assert that it is not a choice, that it is not something that I can stop being based on the partner that I'm with. Like, if I'm with a woman, that doesn't mean that I'm gay. If I'm with a man, that doesn't mean that I'm straight. I'm not half gay and half straight. I am bisexual. Bisexual. I like all of it. And this doesn't make me confused. I hardly think it makes me confused. Confused would be like, well, that dude is kind of, maybe, and like, that chick, but I don't really, I don't know which one. That's confused. I'm not that. I am like, that's a hot guy. That's a hot girl. I like both of them. Which one likes me? Do they both like me? Because I'm polyamorous too. And while that's for another conversation, that's also an option for me. And if they're both down with that, and I get to be the strawberry and the chocolate and vanilla sundae, then I'm all about that. And that's okay too. And, I'm just letting all of you know out there that before you pass judgment on somebody, or before you make assumptions about somebody, or before you erase somebody's identity because you don't understand it, or you don't get it, or it doesn't make sense to you, or it doesn't seem possible, especially those members within the LGBT community. I had a gay man say to my face, "What, you're bi? I don't believe in bisexuality." And I was like, I'm standing right here. I've been bisexual this whole time. I've never not been. It's always just been this way for me. I've always felt this way. Oh, I don't believe that that exists. Well, guess what? I don't care if you believe that it exists or not. I don't care what your opinions about bisexuality are and what you think it is and what your perception of it because of what you saw on TV or because what you read on the internet in, I don't know what, somewhere. You think that it's, we're all promiscuous and we're confused and yada yada. The reason why it's so important to talk about this is because of the fact that bisexuals face incredible disparities in our society when it comes to health risks, when it comes to bullying, when it comes to the majority of bisexuals live below the poverty line. I can include myself in that one. I'm not super proud of that, but it is what it is. It's something like over 40% of bisexual women have been raped or sexually abused. Another statistic that I can count myself on. Many of us, we have to come out constantly. And there's this idea, this crazy, insane idea that somehow we have heterosexual passing privilege. Because we can, somebody wrote this somewhere, I think on Twitter or whatever, we can slink back into our heterosexual normal lives and not deal with all of the stigma and stuff that comes with being homosexual. False. Let me just clear that up for all of you. There is no such thing as this idea of a heterosexual passing privilege for bisexuals, because everything that comes with being a bisexual in a heterosexual relationship, there's so much, like, pardon my French, bullshit that gets tacked on extra because you've decided that, or not even decided, because you fell in love with this person, because you just so happened to fall in love with this person. There's all this stuff that comes now with it, where suddenly you're not gay enough for anybody, you're not queer enough, you're not, you don't fit into the community anymore because you're off being straight. And it's like, no. And that doesn't even count all the things that you have to deal with your straight partner because they are straight and you are not. And I would hardly call that a privilege. I've never in my life, not once, felt privileged as a bisexual in any way, with men or with women. And I don't pretend to speak for every bisexual, but I'm pretty sure there's a great deal of them that would agree with me on this, that we don't feel privileged in any way, at all, ever. Especially when it comes to within our own community, when we're seeking union with them, and we're all waving the same flag. We're all fighting for the same rights because, bisexual people want same-sex marriage because they fall in love with the same sex too. So we're out on the front lines fighting for the rights that the homosexuals want as well. The very first Pride Parade was organized by Brenda Howard, a bisexual woman. And if you look at Pride Parades, the bisexual presence in them is almost nil. For the first time in my life, I marched in a Pride Parade as part of AMBI, which is the Los Angeles bisexual community, and we were the only bisexual group present in the entire parade. And it really, to me, is indicative of how far we've come as a community. Yes, that we can even have a parade, and that there's even bi people in it. Like, woo, that's awesome, and I'm all about that. But I think that there desperately needs to be more visibility within the community, on television, in movies, in books, in every capacity. And, we're human beings, just like everybody else, and we deserve representation the way that everybody deserves representation. And that's what I'm here to do. And that's the message that I want to spread. And just wanted you to get to know me a little bit, as I will continue to post videos about bisexuality and issues of our community and issues within the issues within the issues. There's lots of things to talk about, and I can go on all night, but I won't. So I hope that, if anything, this video has given somebody out there the ability to recognize something in themselves and to realize that you are not alone. You are not the only one. There are a lot of us. In fact, we are a majority. We are the silent majority. Over 40% of the LGBT community is made up of bisexual people. That's a lot of people. And so even though we may not be visible to everybody all the time in all the places, we're out there. And there are groups of us that are there to support each other, and there's information you can find online. Google is amazing for that. And at the end of the day, always remember that you are a human being. And whatever it is that you are, and whoever it is that you love, that's okay. No matter what anybody tells you, that's okay. So keep living, keep loving, and keep learning, because that's what we're here to do. Till next time.